Namibia, Southwest Africa. It's a country independent since 1994, and now putting behind it the challenging years of its colonial rule, then the more recent South African rule during the years of the apartheid policies. With just 2.5 million people, its population density is 1/100th that of the UK. The visually engaging mix of deserts, tribal peoples and wildlife make it a magnet for visitors who are prepared to travel across its vast distances, much of it on rough gravelled roads. The Namib Desert, located nearly 300 kilometres southwest of Namibia's capital Windhoek, offers world-class views of sand dunes. These look spectacular, especially when viewed as the sun rises. The Sossusvlei Valley was originally a wide riverbed, and it became blocked around 5 million years ago. This allowed the dunes to form and grow, up to 400 metres high, and it's now a World Heritage Site. At the western end of the valley, the sand dunes finally blocked the river, halting its flow. The dry pan of Dead Valley is about 2 kilometres walk over a low sand dune, whitened clay and salt, dead acacia trees, and looking like the bed of a huge but dried out lake. Travelling north on long but high standard gravel roads, the port city of Walvis Bay is reached, facing the Atlantic Ocean. There's a mix of wildlife, shipwrecks, and oil rigs, drawing its recently discovered 11 billion barrels of offshore oil. Walvis Bay acts not only as the country's main port, but it's also a gateway for nearby landlocked countries, in particular Botswana and Zimbabwe. Travelling further north, the desert area of Damaraland is reached. A mix of sand, bushes and dried out riverbeds, it's very much the classic desert landscape that is typical of much of this region. The desert-adapted elephant has a large presence in northern Namibia. They're known to travel greater distances for their food and water than other African elephants. At first sight, it looks like a normal-sized elephant. On closer examination, you can see that the legs are rather longer. This allows the elephant, in this type of landscape, to step through the sand with ease, and sometimes to negotiate steep hills and mountains to reach vital trees, vegetation, and water. In the direction of the northern border, the Himba tribal people live. They live in Namibia, and on the other side of the Kunene River, in Angola. Many moved into Angola during the painful years of apartheid between the 1960s and early 90s. They were welcomed back to their original land when Namibia became independent, and their resettlement was supported by the new government. This tribal group are mostly livestock farmers who breed sheep, but they count their wealth by the number of cattle they own. Homes are simple, huts built of tree branches and mud. Inside one, a mother mixes and applies her daily cosmetic paste.
She is applying that cream. Okay. That is the ochre Oka is that smooth rock that been crushed and they put it in that powder form, and she mixed that with a bit of animal fat just to make it sticky on the body. So by then the whole idea of applying that, it's for the beauty as well as for the sun cream. But it's only ladies that do that. Men, they don't apply anything. That's how the Himba lady take bath. They do that almost every morning. No, men, they don't do that because men normally most of the time they are out in the bush looking after their animals. So by then if they find some pools and so forth, they splash themselves. Men, they don't have to bath in that way.
The responsibility for milking the cows and goats lies with the women and girls. They also take care of the children, with one woman or girl often taking care of another woman's children. Occupying a large part of northern Namibia is Etosha National Park. It's the wildlife focus of most travellers' itineraries. Many game reserves and lodges are located here, including some just a few kilometres outside its boundaries. Hobotera Lodge is a privately managed reserve, but it's run as a non-profit-making community project. It borders onto the Etosha National Park on its east. Although it's fenced in on most of its boundaries, it does allow the free movement of animals both into and out of the publicly owned game park. With its own watering holes, it provides a vital life-supporting resource for the animals, over and above the amounts that would be natural to this parched area of the country. Hobotera's night drives are the opportunity to view some wildlife that rarely shows itself by day. Run on tiered 4x4 rugged vehicles, it gives everyone a true grandstand view as the trip unfolds. Often hidden by day, but enjoying the night time, the female lions on this autumn drive were seen relaxing before probably embarking on their next nighttime hunt. As Namibia's largest publicly owned game reserve, it has well-laid roads and stopping places. These give visitors excellent viewing opportunities, whilst protecting the safety and roaming of the animals themselves. Water is in great shortage, as it is in much of southern Africa. The animals would struggle to survive in their present numbers if help was not given. So in the interests of both animal health and environmental responsibility, man-made watering holes are located across the park. Wind-powered or solar-powered pumps draw water to the surface from what is often several hundred meters below the ground. Tourism developed steadily from the early years of Namibia's independence in the mid-1990s, and it now represents around 15% of the economy. The Namibian authorities ensure that professional guides manage the tourism to protect the safety of the individuals and of the wildlife itself. The leopard and cheetah are two members of the cat family which Namibia plays its part in managing and saving. Protection and support are in place to deal with the ongoing risks of killing these prized animals by irresponsible poachers, and even by some farmers when the animals intrude onto their land. The leopard can be challenging to locate in the larger reserves. With the latest radio trackers, it's become easier and more reliable to find and then care for these endangered large cats. Namibia is known as the cheetah capital of the world, and many of these vulnerable animals are deliberately kept in fenced ranches to protect them from the risks of attack in the open from lions. This is despite the cheetah being one of the fastest animals on Earth, around 100 kilometers per hour in short bursts. In just a short tour of the country, Namibia's approach to maintaining its unique landscape, its support to tribal groups who earlier suffered under years of repression, and its caring animal welfare all look impressive to a first-time visitor. If this all proves to be the ongoing model in this country, less than 30 years old, it may develop to be one of Africa's leading examples of stability, sustainability, and responsibility.